curious, so I always feel that at some point in time in life it will help by connecting the dots, etc. All that. But a lot of things that we have done as Bounce, as Wicked Ride for 2014, people don't have to repeat the same problems. And I feel that there is no school for founders, and the only way to make school for founders is one founder sharing and telling another founder on how it is done, right? And a lot of things can never be written anywhere, never be spoken anywhere, but a founder to founder, you can always talk. And I've had the pleasure of having access to that kind of founders. So I would definitely, at any point in time, whether I've invested or not invested, would always be there and give very candid suggestions and feedbacks to founders on how we navigated and what we at least believe.
We had another amazing guest on the pod. He is Vivek. Vivek is the co-founder and CEO of Bounce. Bounce is a full-stack EV mobility company. Vivek is also a prolific angel investor. We talked about what it takes to pivot, shut down, and make hard calls. Why is he excited about EV two-wheelers in India? What was the founding story of Bounce Infinity? How did he get into angel investing? Why does he invest in startups in the first place? The importance of founders backing other founders, the stories behind his angel investments, his relationship with health, what do his friends know him for, and who is he outside of work? Now I bring you Vivek. So good to have you on the pod.
Same here, Shiva. Thanks for having me.
Man, I'm excited, and we could start with back in 2019, early 2020. Bounce had become a verb in India, and what that means is it was the fastest growing ride-sharing company in the world, not just in India. And thing happened, and which was something that was outside your control, not just your control, anyone's control.
Yeah.
uh, can you tell us, Vivek, how was that phase for you and the team? What was the biggest learning? How did you come out of that phase? And then, transitioning into what was the founding story of Bounce Infinity?
Yeah. So COVID kind of changed a lot of things for everyone, right? So for us, the biggest challenge was that we didn't know when the COVID was going to end, which meant that we didn't know how long we have to wait for this. And we had a lot of scooters, and all of these scooters were taken on loan, and there were a lot of large teams maintaining the software, everything around the rider, as in the app for user, app for the backend team, a bunch of these things. And we were also gearing up to launch more things in mobility. We wanted to launch a carpool bit. We wanted to bring auto rickshaw. So we were looking at a platform play for mobility. But the COVID had different plans for us. So the biggest challenge was to not knowing when what is going to happen, which means it was a long wait. Finally, we decided that we will use this time to solve fundamental problem in our model, which is having a good quality electric vehicle. So that's how the journey into making electric vehicles started for us in a very focused way. 2019, we had hired someone to make a scooter for us, and our teams were working very closely. We had teams which were working on building electric scooter with the startup, and we had actually rolled out a few scooters meant for ride sharing as such. But with COVID, we decided that we will spend time, we will go all out on that. So we decided to go out and look for people in the market who we can acquire. So we knew this company called 22 Motors, who were supposed to be our vendors back in the days. So we knew them. They had 4 prototypes of scooters and a good team. So we decided to go out acquire. We knew the founders. We acquired them. We brought in Farhan, who was one of the technical founders, and we brought him in. Comes with a lot of OEM expertise. So we started with the protos, and we had to set up the plant and then build the whole supply chain, and then launch the scooter in the market, etc. And we also had they had an investor was not very easy to deal with, so we had to buy them out to everything. So we did all of that and launched a scooter sometime last year. Sometime around May is when we started launching our vehicle. And we thought we will go aggressive on battery swapping because we had very good understanding of battery swapping. We've done million battery swaps, but the subsidy was not in our favor. As in, there was a not a level playing ground. People who buy the scooter with a battery and larger battery get subsidized more, and people who buy the scooter without battery probably opting for battery as a service. There was no incentives for them, so it was not the right time. So we decided to pause battery swapping, but probably just sell the scooter with a battery and a charger. A whole new game. OEM is more time consuming as compared to let's say tech, pure play tech as such. A lot of things that we learned, a lot of patience and getting teams together, everyone aligned, and finally now we are an OEM. We have sold close to about approximately about 10,000 plus scooters, and we have 70 exclusive dealers across India. And we are one of those scooters. Our thesis was pretty simple. We wanted to go out and build affordable. I know affordable is not a very word which is gets good attention as such. People think second I say affordable, they talk about the nanos, etc. All of that. But our idea was to go out, make scooters which are affordable and reliable for users. In simple words, create a Activa equivalent on an electric vehicle, which works really well across segments, which is a no-brainer. And it has to be electric, and also has to think through on how to enable this for a common man. As a common man doesn't have a parking space, which means that batteries have to be removable, and you should be able to plug it to any plug point, like how you plug your cell phone. A bunch of these things which we felt are very important, and make sure in our scooter we have these options. So today, the Bounce Infinity is one such scooter. Uh, Probably the only scooter comes with portable batteries which are made in India, etc. All of that. So that's in just about how we became an OEM. Happy to deep dive. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Vivek, a lot of entrepreneurs out there, they could learn from your experience, especially when things are going so good, and circumstance come through where you have just no control. But for you, what was that one biggest learning? Was it like, it is what it is, we just have to move on, patience? What was it?
A lot of things, right? So one um, having to shut down a business is very hard, and a business which used to work. So we never spent marketing dollars on Bounce share business, right? So and it used to work so well, and the joy it used to give in terms of every time you step out, you see about someone on Bounce. You know, a lot of stories around Bounce and people, how it changed their lives, how it's made mobility so easy for them. A bunch of these things, right? So even today, we walk out of our office or anywhere in Bangalore, you can see the yellow helmet still running around, right? So it's very hard to shut down a business, and you have to take very hard calls like that. And pivot also is not easy because people come with people who are meant for doing a particular thing might not be relevant, or you have to bring in a very different genre of people to make things work. You have to align with board, and also the thing is it's not so clear on when to shut down that business, right? As in with the cash you have in bank, when to really pull the plug, right? Looking back, it looks pretty easy, but knowing that right time to pull the plug is very challenging. You won't know when that right time is as such, and I think that was a very hard one, deciding on when to stop bounce share, and being 100% OEM. That was the biggest challenge for us, and I've realized that doing all of this at a time when there is funding winter to many OEMs and a lot of regulatory challenges from in terms of making electric vehicles to a lot of these things, right? So it's been fun, exciting time in terms of lessons learned, the speed at which we have reacted and what we have learned, etc. All that. But it's been a fun experience. Even if you pay money, you won't get this kind of experience, is what we all believe. And we still believe that mobility is a problem which has not been solved for. And we are trying to solve this in a very different, we're coming from the different side
Yeah,
now.
yeah. And you have taken a, or before this one question I'm going to ask you before that, like, you've had a support system around you, meaning few founder friends that have helped you come out of this phase.
Of course, yeah. That's been the one of the best things which have happened. As in a lot of biographies also gives you a lot of peace, knowing that things can get really fucked up anytime to anyone. And also having founders to talk to has been really a blessing. Yeah. Always catching up with other founders, what's happening, sharing our stories with them, uh, taking them through what our problems are. Probably there are a lot of problems that you can't tell to your co-founders, but you can probably talk to your other founders, friends, etc. All of that, right? So it's been very helpful as such. Yeah, that support system has been really has done wonders.
Yeah. And Vivek, as you just said, pivoting and raising capital in the winter market, and there are already players with massive, capital that they've raised, and you have taken a different approach, which is, I think India's only first swappable battery bikes that you're offering. It's cheaper, and also I saw a tweet where someone has been driving Bounce Infinity is driven over 6,000 kilometers and has only paid 200 rupees in repair, which was front brakes.
Yeah,
So I think the durability or how the scooter is built or bike is built is also different. And also you're the only bike that has this certificate where you can sell abroad. So these are the things going on. If you can walk us through, Vivek, what excites you the most about EV two-wheeler in general in India, and can you tie that to Bounce Infinity? What's the plan forward or the magical outcome you have in mind?
yeah. So Shiva, a simple macro outlook at India, right? As in, um, we are a country with billion population, no public transport, or public transport hardly available in few cities, and it is not scaled. And most affordable way of moving for someone is on a two-wheeler, and two-wheelers have become expensive over a period of time. As in, a TVS XL, which used to cost 38-40,000 back in the days, cost close to about 70,000 or so now. As in, TVS XL used to be the lowest costing vehicle, right? Which anyone could buy possibly. But even that costs 65 or 70,000 ex showroom now. And Activa, which used to cost 40,000 10 years back, is close to about 100K, 120K kind of pricing, right? But the disposable money has not increased the way it should have been to be able to afford these things, right? And India has one of the lowest percentage of ownership in vehicles, and public transport will take time to catch up. While private ownership is not the right solution for a country or society, but public transport will take time to catch up, and the public transport for India has to be reimagined. That is what we were trying to do with Boundshare. So we see that if access to livelihoods have to happen, it happens only when you have access to mobility. As in, if you're able to go to work, make more money, or you are able to save time and get to a particular place to study or anything of that sort, right? So access to mobility, that to affordable mobility, is everything. If you fix that, a lot of things can come into picture, right? So we still believe two-wheeler is the way to do it, but two-wheelers are expensive. So we believe that EV gives you a fantastic opportunity to go out and make the scooters more affordable. Batteries are 50% of the value of the vehicle. So through battery swapping or unique models, you can actually enable people to go back in time, right? It can be a time machine. EV can actually be a time machine where you take them back, take them 10 years back in terms of pricing, and they can have access to mobility. And that is game changer, right? If you can use EV to take people back in time, just in terms of price that they pay for a vehicle, but still get advanced features. Their variable cost is much lesser, maintenance cost is much lesser. That can be a game changer, right? And I still feel that nobody is going after harnessing the true potential of what EV can bring into. Um, uh, so that is where we are super excited about. So we don't see ourselves as just an OEM. We see ourselves as a company which will try and go out to do that, enable millions of them to have access to mobility, and definitely over a period of time will make them shareable so that they're not idle. They can be shared with others. They can earn money out of it. Bunch of these things, right? We think we can right from making vehicles, we can go all the way back to enabling sharing on that particular vehicle. So we will do all of these things at the right time. Last year has been about making scooters and making it work reliably, etc. All of that. This year is going to be a bunch of things that we will try towards enabling more and more people to be able to access electric vehicles. So this is what we are super excited about, right? So 14% of the population have access to personal mobility on two wheelers and 4% on cars, probably. So under 20% penetration. If you take Vietnam or anything, the ownership penetration is much higher. And if the country has to do well, access to mobility is going to be one of the key pieces. While this will definitely pose other problems like traffic jams to everything, because our roads and just widening the roads are not the solution. I've been on the side talking more about why private ownership is not the way out, but we are doing that. But we will always keep this in mind that they have to be shareable to how do we make best out of these assets. But we are excited about this opportunity. How do we get millions of Indians to have access to their own mobility? Is what gets us excited about, and we think EV gives you that fantastic wormhole kind of thing, which can help you take back in time and do some magic there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got it. The mobility helps country develop, and you're enabling the masses of India get access to the mobility through
yeah.
EV. And excited for you, Vivek, personally, man.
Thanks.
And I've seen the journey from yeah, since I think 2019 or before that now. And Vivek, with this, we'll transition into angel investing. You've been, an enabler in the tech ecosystem. You've been backing other founders for a few years now. What drove you into angel investing, and do you remember your first angel investment?
Yeah, of course. I think okay. The first angel investment probably was a company called Tortoise in US. They used to make autonomous um, uh, electric vehicles which can go and deliver things, right? So I think that was my first angel investment. But I think more or less at the same time I did Drink Prime in India. So Drink Prime has been more or less the first investment that I think I made, and it's been a long time for that. Yeah.
Got it. And what was the reason that you started backing other founders?
I think one, it's interesting to know the problems that they're solving and listen to more problems, etc. All of that, right? It always gets anyone excited. But absolutely, that you can make a lot of money if you put money in the right places as well. Probably more like a lottery ticket because it's not full time, and venture investing is very different, angel investing is very different, and all of that. I don't know how much money we will end up making on this, but it's always good to invest in early stage startups. Basically, where I have invested a small checks in very early stage startups when I usually get founders when they're still contemplating to quit and start working on an idea, right? So I usually get people who are yet to decide to make that plunge, make the jump, and become entrepreneurs or founders as such, right? So I've seen that people are happy to come and talk to me about those things, and somehow they believe that um, uh, um, probably talking to me has helped. So uh, they asked me to invest small checks. That's how it started as such. I think Drink Prime was about a lakh or so. So that's the kind of check sizes we started with, etc. All of that. So it's been fun. One in terms of problem statements we get to hear, and always I think I'm always curious, so I always feel that at some point in time in life it will help by connecting the dots, etc. All that. But a lot of things that we have done as Bounce or as Wicked Ride from 2014, people don't have to repeat the same problems. And I feel that there is no school for founders, and the only way to make school for founders is one founder sharing and telling another founder on how it is done, right? And a lot of things can never be written anywhere, never be spoken anywhere, but a founder to founder you can always talk. And I've had the pleasure of having access to that kind of founders. So I would definitely at any point in time, whether I've invested or not invested, would always be there and give very candid uh, suggestions and feedbacks to founders on how we navigate it and what we at least believe, right? So I think that's something that we have to do, and that is what will help the ecosystem also. So I'll definitely be out there to talk to any founders who need any guidance, suggestions, or just brainstorm or bounce off anything, right? So I think that's a very important part for the ecosystem, and a lot of founders have helped us. I keep talking about Funny from Redbus. Funny from Redbus kind of navigated us to be here with one meeting and changed the direction for us and bunch of people who are part of Bounds, etc. All of that, right? Hours meeting with an hour meeting with Funny from Redbus changed the direction for us. So we feel that it's going to be fun. So yeah.
Yeah, no, love it. And Vivek, I think you've done uh, 35, 40, or maybe more investments. I would say a couple of things. what has worked for you? On the flip side, uh, what has been the biggest learning? Meaning something you know now you wish you knew earlier.
On investing, probably I'm not an expert, so but what I've seen is probably wherever I've invested because someone else is investing, or if it's very hot, has never worked out. They've been the easiest, quickest write-offs. Otherwise, wherever I've done it because I know the founder and the thesis or anything of that sort has done well. Or if it has not done well, also no regrets there. But I think wherever I've invested because the segment was hot and someone asked me to come in with a small check, etc. All of that has been not done well for me at least.
Yeah. Got it. Maybe we can talk about some of your portfolio companies.
Mhm.
We can pick one or two that has done really well. How did the investment come about? The story behind it, and on the other side, one or two companies where you had an opportunity to invest, you didn't, but they ended up doing great. And what was the learning there?
I think a couple of companies which have done really well, like StockGrow. StockGrow did not get a lot of investor love here in India, but they raised from General Catalyst, and I was very after this came from another friend who runs a VC fund now, Karthik, and he knew Ajay, and he connected me to Ajay, and I heard and I catch up for 15-20 minutes, and I felt that this is like crazy for India, and it can do really well. And I told him that I'm in, and whatever. The only thing is, let us know how. I don't have a lot of capital, so tell us what is the minimum check we can come up with, and that happened, and they've done really well. Stockrow has done really well. Windwealth Ajinkya again came from, I think Sumit from Rupeek introduced me to Ajinkya, and it has done really well. Ajinkya is a great founder and doing amazing things. Nishchay is ex-bounce. Jar has done really well for us, probably the highest returning kind of investment that we have done because we invested when it was an idea stage, and so Jar has done really well for us as investment. Also, uh, these are few names I can think of. Drink Prime, of course, they've executed really, really well over a period of time, and not an easy business, but with a lot of competition for them from big guys. But they've done their magic, and they're doing well. So most of the investments uh, have been doing well. So and it's been a good journey talking to these guys and knowing what they're doing, etc. All of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the flip side, were there any one or two companies where you had a chance to invest and you did not?
I did not, is it? Oh yeah, I think Exponent I missed out. Exponent was one. I think something or other came in, and I think I didn't follow up or something or that sort. Exponent, I think I missed out. Exponent was bad. Has done really well and not invested. While I had access to the founders, etc. All that. I would still invest. I was telling Arun other day that I would not put in any money that you guys allow, etc. Who else? Exponent. Um, Exponent. Who else? I have a nice list of yeah, where I didn't invest because I was busy and I couldn't follow up and I just missed kind of thing. But it's okay. I always can't help it. I have full time business to run, so it's no regrets. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, few of my high performing companies are actually they came from you. One is Jar, and the other is went well. So appreciate you, Vivek, for helping a friend out. And Vivek, this, of course, the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, a lot of founders, operators, they'll get liquidity and they want to invest and they want to back other founders. Maybe 1 or 2 minutes, how one can sort of build a deal flow and start investing, if you were to guide someone to do what you've been doing.
I think I'm the wrong person, Shiva, because I don't have a process at all. I probably spend more time with founders and understand. And if I get excited over the idea, I invest. I'm the last person to be guiding on how to do a deal flow or anything of that sort. So I'm not there yet, and I'm not the expert there. But I think if you're investing, don't do it because it's a thing. Don't do it because just because someone else is, is doing. and understand that it's a very if you think running a startup is tough, investing, finding the right startup and investing is probably more tough because a lot of things are not in your control. And if operators are investing because they always had things under control, they could at least action on things and do things. But that is something that they won't have if they're investing, right? So they could. So it's going to be a very different thing. So it's better to be aware of that. And also, if they make a lot of wealth, probably go through the VC funds because they will have everything organized. They will have better processes, etc. All of that. I think it's better to put their money in a VC fund which does well, which they believe in, etc. All of that. And most of these folks, if they have got liquidity, their own VC funds is what they should look at investing, and probably co-invest them, invest with them in the segments, that sectors and segments they understand. I think if people have liquidity, that is what they should do. If they're investing a lakh to few lakhs assets like how we do, then it's okay. You should treat it like a lottery ticket. You should just feel that you got the joy of working with the founder and done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for you, investing is a byproduct of you enjoy spending time with other founders and really, even in fact, giving them or helping give them that courage to actually go and start the thing. And that's what you said. Like you meet them and they're contemplating, they're thinking, okay, we want to build company. And like Vivek comes in, okay, I'm putting in capital, and then he ends up in connecting founders, a bunch of his friends in his network, rounds builds up, and at least gives them the courage to go and build it. If it works out, great. If not,
Yeah.
go back and do the other
I
stuff.
think the courage for
Yeah,
them comes from a ways back. I keep saying that they'll be like, okay, if Vivek can run a startup, we can also run a startup. Is the is the kind of thing that gives them confidence and courage, and that's what I tell them as well. But yeah, of course, help them in any possible way.
yeah,
Yeah,
got it. And with this, Vivek, we'll transition into our last part. And I don't know if I've introduced you to my co-pilot, Alfonso, in the back. Have you met him?
no,
Yeah, so he's the one who leads last part of the
no,
podcast,
yeah,
and he wants to get to know you outside of
no,
work. So he's asking, Vivek, what's your typical day like, starting from waking up to going to bed?
so so COVID taught a lot of things, right? One of the things that made me realize that I was not taking care of health. So COVID, I actually started working out, having a person who can guide me on my diet, do everything. So I did my first blood test, figured out how many things are not good, etc. And I used to feel tired and all of that, right? So just pump a lot of caffeine in terms of black coffee, and we were doing a bunch of things. So started taking care of health. That's one thing I've done over the last many years now. Still not up to the mark the way I should be, but I'm surrounded with people who take care of their health. So this is becoming something naturally to me to do. I've started yoga now a year and a half. I've been doing yoga. Last year I was doing more weight training, but this year it's been more yoga. So almost every day I wake up and go to the yoga center first. I take my whole family, more or less all of us go there together and do the yoga for about 1.5 hour and come back and then get to work more or less. And after that, again, it's been I stay very close to work, so I can either walk or take a scooter out and work. And it depends on what stage of things are we at. If it's launch and it's a very different kind of in OEM, there is a lot of waiting time, and you can't get you can't change anything overnight. So a lot of patience, planning it out, etc., thinking for long term, a bunch of these things. But other than work, I like to watch a lot of content as such. As in, I'm a big movie buff or content buff. So I always used to just go back and do that. But now that I'm married, and my wife doesn't like to watch content, etc., all of that. So we're still figuring out how do we do things still, because I really like, and I'm used to kind of de-stress just with watching content mindlessly, etc., all that, and then go to sleep, right? So and earlier I used to stay a little farther from work, so I could listen to Audible on the car. I usually consume on Audible as well. So, but now that has come down, so I have to pick up some habit wherein I can get back to Audible. Otherwise, usual probably Saturday, Sunday, I try and read some books. Reading has come down off late, but that's something that I'm trying to still find my space post marriage in terms of how do I do this, etc. All that. But yeah, that's more or less. There was this friend of mine. She used to say that, Vivek, your life is very boring. You just work, 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 and even the friends you catch up with, always you talk about ideas, that this, etc. All that. So you guys are very boring as such. But somehow we enjoy that and it doesn't feel like work, and that's how life has been. So I've also been thinking on what are the other things I should be doing in life and figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah. So one thing that you've picked up is working out, fitness, yoga,
Yeah,
and and how was the yeah? This movie you watched, Hostel,
yeah,
something. Was it that funny?
it was crazy fun. It's a very offbeat. I think it's a very new director and no celebs in the movie, etc. All that. And it's a Kannada movie, and I went there with zero expectation, and it reminded me of my hostel days, etc. It means that boys are required for hostel or something. That's the literal translation. Hostel ಹುಡುಗರು ಬೇಕಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ means hostel boys are needed or something like that. It was crazy fun, and I was so proud of how the Kannada movie industry has come out, because the kind of editing they've done, the kind of music they've put together. I think they've done a really great job in terms of production, etc. All that. They've not spent a lot of money on that, so it's pretty amazing on what the industry has come up with.
Yeah, got it. And back to that thing. What do your friends know you for? We sort of like, what's the perception within your friends? Like, who are you for them? For us, yes, you're you've been a builder and helper in the ecosystem. But for your friends, who are you?
I think I have very few friends outside my co-founders and my work colleagues, etc. All that, and my cousin Nishay runs Jar. So my network has been filled with these people, etc. Now I'm also trying to find people outside all of this. But usually, most of the people know me as a guy who constantly keeps coming with some other idea, and I think it annoys the shit out of them. So they make fun of me a lot of times, saying that okay, Vivek is gonna. Uh, I have this thing whenever I see a crowd, I'll be like, what can I sell for them, right? So they always keep making fun of me, saying that okay, Vivek will. If they see something, they'll be like, okay, Vivek could have said this, Vivek could have said that, that we should have been selling this, etc. All that. But I've been that guy, and that keeps me exciting whether we do it or not. So they make a lot of fun of me about that. Otherwise, the content I end up watching or the books I read and suggest them, etc. All that. But it's usually the work folks is what I usually end up spending time with. And I think over a period of time, my work circle has become just my colleagues, my co-founders, a bunch of these folks, right? So now trying to make new friends through my wife's friends who have nothing to do with all of this, etc. All that. So I'm trying to do that now.
Got it, got it. And Vivek, for the time being, let's say Bounce is not in the picture. What would you work on outside, or let me rephrase this: like money, attention are not needed anymore, and also Bounce is not there. What would you work on?
I think I think the next biggest problems will be around availability of food and water. So I think I would definitely try to do things around that. And I've also realized, bonds, while we did all of this, we really, to be honest, we never thought about the money that we will end up making with all of this. Problems have excited us all the time. So if not for bonds, probably something in agriculture or something around. I also like to stay close to um, uh, a lot of as in nature, etc. All of that. So I think I might end up doing something in agriculture. I don't know. That's what I think, but I don't know if that is what I'll really do. But I still feel that these are real problems which we're going to face in near short term, and it can really have a massive impact of availability of the food is going to be a big challenge, right? I keep reading that the topsoil kind of fertility is going down, which means that food as such is going to be challenging. And with the climate change, the kind of most of the Indian agriculture depends on seasonal rainfall, and if that is not happening, how is it going to work for a country with billion population and all of that, right? So I think those are very interesting problems to work on. So, or probably waste management. I would do something with what do we do with all the waste that we generate, right? So there is not enough space to dump them. So probably something around that.
Got it. So one last one, Vivek. If you could invite three people, dead or alive, to a dinner table, and Alfonso would be the chef, who would they be and why?
Interesting. I think one of the folks would be probably definitely Elon Musk, and I'll ask him how can we make Earth more habitable, right? While I know he wants to make Mars, de-risk Earth and have Mars, right? So, but I would still somehow pick his mind on how do we make Earth more habitable, because a lot of things have already fallen in place here, and we are just screwing up with that, right? So, top of mind, I can think of him. I would call. I think I'll call Bill Watterson as well, the creator of Calvin and Hobbes. I think he had the highest amount of philosophy filled in a comic, and I would love to have some crazy conversation with Bill Watterson and get his thoughts on a bunch of things. And who else? Who else? Probably. Yeah, I think also probably what a name. Um, I'll also call this Hollywood celeb. I really have a thing for her in terms of her smile, etc. All of that. So I would probably call her also. So have a different perspective on
Yeah,
the table. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
got it, got it. Thanks a lot, Vivek. This was fun, man. Thanks a lot for doing it.
Thanks. Thanks, Shiva. It's been fun. All the best to you on all your deal flows and returns on investments and other things. I wish you the best and keep investing more, enable more startups.